I'm Insomniac.
And I'm Pops.
And this is Shooting the Shit,
a.k.a. Chatting with Pops.
Episode 70 of Shooting the Shit, a.k.a. Chatting with Pops. And today's topic comes from Matt Gunya.
My pal.
Right, he suggests a lot of good topics.
He's the man.
And if you want to suggest topics, you have to be a patron. Plus, we can use the support, so sign up at the link at the top of the video description. I like how fluid that's getting.
Yeah, right.
Alright, so, it says, what are some things you admire about the guy sitting next to you? What advice would you give him?
Good topic, Matt. This is going to be interesting.
Now, which guy are you talking about, Matt? So I got this guy over here, and I got Bob Marley over here.
Funny. Real funny.
So, I mean...
Your sister you got over there.
Could talk about either one of them.
Right. No, he's not talking about that. The guy sitting next to you. That's a poster.
He's sitting in that poster.
That's a poster.
Whatever.
I like the poster. All right, so I'm starting, and, by now we all know that this is my son next to me. Yeah.
Oh.
Things I admire about my son, and this goes back to when he was a little kid, not even just now. I remember years ago, and maybe, I don't know if you'll like me to tell this story, but years ago, there came a point where Rob had heard some things, you know, about success and, you know, what you need to do. And as a young man, one day he said, well, I'm going to start dressing the part. And I remember this. He was young. I think he was in grammar school, probably.
Yeah, it was early in elementary school.
And he started to, you know, want to dress better, you know. And it was interesting. I remember these things along the line where, you know, he had this, you know, drive to want to do better and succeed and all that stuff. And so as he's grown older now, it really is the same feeling and sentiment that, you know, he still carries forward. In that, you know, he has a drive to succeed. So these things I admire. So let me get that out there. He may not realize that, you know, his drive to succeed, to always look a certain part, which the old man looks like a bum, and I don't have to, but...
It brings that up the day I'm wearing a t-shirt. But, you know, it's a new t-shirt.
The old man looks like a bum, but I choose that. You know, and I'm not knocking this. I admire these things about my son. But as I've gotten older, I've actually, well, not that I've ever not looked like half a bum. I'm not a bum. I was told that, but I'm not. But, you know, he likes to look good. He likes a lot of the nice things in life. And
the finer things in life.
And he goes out of his way to try to carry himself that way. And that's just, you know, that's what he wants to do. And he may not think I admire that about him. The only thing about me is, as I grow older, I realize that none of this stuff matters. My cars, my clothes, you know, it's all temporal. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, but I think that comes down to priority. Like, I don't think physical things are the priority or most important for sure. But you only have one life. You might as well enjoy the stuff that's here, and
right.
You know, whatever's going to make your life more enjoyable while you're here.
True, and I know what's coming on his part to me. One part of it, the advice part, anyway. I know what's coming, but you know, this is, you know, where I'm at and how I feel. But that doesn't mean I don't admire his drive. I think it's admirable. He works really hard at what he wants to do. I also want to say this, which is very, very important to get out, and he's always heard this out of me. He's got the golden touch with things. The golden touch. I admire that about him. Not that I was a ham and egger myself. I think I always had that ability too, but it was, you know, I was never able to follow through properly because that could be another show sometime, more personal stuff. And how I was brought up, it was pretty rough. But, you know, he has the golden touch, and, you know, he really, I mean, when he takes to something, this guy, it's, I'm impressed. When he was playing drums, you know, I would just be, you know, I mean, I'm a monster on top of the drum set, you know. I was more of a Buddy Rich guy, guys that were more integral and intricate about their playing. Rob was a machine when he played in every way. His timing, you know, he was amazing in a band setting of any kind. Just absolutely amazing.
I gotta find the time to get back to. I'm not done with that.
So I would watch my son a lot of times and just be. He didn't know that, but I'd be practically choked up.
I knew that. He used to come to all the shows. It was great.
When, you know, musically he'd be playing, it's just like, wow. And don't get me wrong, he'll tell you himself that, even in his bio, that, you know, I'm the one that inspired him, and I am a hell of a player. But he would blow my mind. And then he, you know, he'll pick up a guitar. I mean, I started with the bass with him, a little bit with the guitar. He wanted me to teach him more. I didn't have to do that at the time. I showed him what I can, more with the bass probably, and definitely the drums. That I was his teacher. But wow, I mean, he, as you see when we record these things, just staggers my mind. I admire all this about him. I mean, I know where the talent came from on high and channeled through me, but I admire it, and I'm amazed at him a lot of times. Not just this stuff with the music, and you know we have a passion for that. I have a great passion, but then take it other places. And you might not notice about Rob, how he goes out of his way. Sometimes he writes down what his agenda is, how he wants to do it, how he's just his drivenness.
I actually do that every night.
Right, which I hit on. He's just driven and he gets it done. And in that, now, see, my old man would have knocked me down for anything Rob's doing. He would have told me, get the fuck out of here, go get a job, you're a bum, knock it the fuck up, whatever. Those he get somewhat, and he did want me to do, or gave me some credit for, was the music. For some reason, my father, and here I am today. That's what I do, it's who I am. But I've never knocked any of this, as far as I'm concerned. I said, go for it, go for it, go for it, go for it. Now, that's it, and I admire all this about my son. But here comes my advice, which he's heard, and I'm going to say it here on camera. Don't stop doing what you want to do or thinking that your dream's not going to come true, because me and his mother, which we have discussed this, are late bloomers for sure. My wife's finally an author. I do what I do, he knows what I do, and I love it, and I still have aspirations further, believe it or not, for what I do. He knows what I do. I'm not giving up, and I'm very much blessed and achieved more than I thought I'd ever achieve. So that's my advice. Don't ever give up, and don't, you know, you got to realize I'm his father and got whatever, you know, 25 years on him or whatever. I was a young father when we had Rob, but we're late bloomers. So you know what? And Lord willing, we have a lot of life ahead of us. You know, one day at a time, and we got to try to live it. So I know what my son's advice is going to be to me, because, you know, I've come a long way in my life. He knows better than anyone, but I still got a lot of living to do, and I'm not living it. So, right, I even know that. So, so that's, you know, that's what I have to say. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole lot more, but to just to what I said about my son, I extremely admire. He's extremely intelligent, and I admire that. And all my children are extremely, let me throw that out there. My kids are amazing as far as intelligent, you know. I'm not saying I'm not intelligent, but I'm more of a guy that's very wise, and I know what I know, and I know God has given me a great gift. But intelligence, I didn't get enough of the right input to cultivate that. My children, and Rob, is amazingly smart. Again, I admire these things. May not seem that way to any of them, but I admire all my children, but Rob specifically, he's right here to my right. He's my firstborn, and you know, before my other ones came along, was about 4 years almost.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of stuff with me, man. He was rocking it with me. He was my partner for first 4 years, still my partner, even though we don't always eye to eye, but I do.
Well, that's just part of becoming an individual, you know.
I do admire my son immensely. Thank you for this topic, Matt. I'm not want to get too choked up, but I'm glad you brought it up, because it's all true.
Yeah, don't do that, man.
So there you go. Now you're on.
That's a good one. Well, it's to kind of lead in from somewhere he was. Actually, one of the things I admire about Pops is actually something he was talking about, which is that he supports all the crazy, ridiculous things that I try to go after. And of course, though, I mean, I always try to plan far in advance to make sure that they're not totally ridiculous. But like he's saying, I haven't heard out of him or my mom, as long as, you know, my rent and my general bills are paid, I haven't heard, like, quit all that, all this stuff you want to do and working for yourself in these projects and go get a job. I've heard that's great, and you know, they try to support it, they try to share things. When I was playing live, they used to come to shows, share songs, you know, so that's a huge thing, and I certainly admire that. On the most basic level, there's being a man, which is not really something that's talked about anymore. It's practically frowned upon. But if ever there was a role model for that, that would be my dad in every single way. You know, from, you know, being a husband to raising kids to, and it's something I think we've touched on in other episodes, is the fact that you know, now we're all doing pretty good, which is great. What a blessing that is. But when, you know, in the early days growing up, we didn't have anything. And Pop's had some problems that he's talked about in earlier episodes. And so, I mean, talk about an uphill battle. That's an understatement, yet he was always able to not only always be there, but provide in an immense way. I mean, more so than he ever should have. I mean, I've never had a Christmas where I wasn't spoiled, or, you know, I mean, and we didn't have anything. So the fact that I'm happy about the fact that as an adult, I can look back on these things and not be like, you know, I didn't get as much as this kid. Instead, it was like, I can't believe how much shit I got and how much I was able to do, you know, with no resources that we had. You know, so that's an amazing thing. You know, in terms of like the important core parts of being a man and a father, it was above and beyond, still is, you know, most people. So an interesting set of circumstances that you had, I think, actually kind of put you in a better driver's seat, you know, to be a hands-on dad, which is pretty cool.
That's
you know,
true.
and then of course there's the music thing, which he was just talking about. Not only did he teach me to play drums, which turned into its own monster and bands and studio, and I'm still sponsored by a drum company, but it was the fact that I had such an awesome exposure to music my whole childhood that kind of got me into a lot of different types of music and kind of got it in my veins. And you know, that was, I mean, if Mom would have been the influence there, I'd be listening to country music and Christmas music. So thank God we had Dad there for that, you know, and all of the major influences there. And then of course, one of the huge things that I currently admire, as much as I, you know, get on you about being cheap sometimes and stuff like that, is that one piece of advice he didn't give me that I'm going to give myself is, I have to tighten up a little bit, which I've been really working on and getting better at as an adult in the last few years. But he has like a 4 million credit score, and, you know, has his shit together. Everything's paid. Like, that's something that I don't take for granted, and that, you know, I don't overlook. That's incredible. A lot of adults, probably a majority of the people watching this, have debt. You know, you're in a certain circumstance, or things are a struggle. I'm not saying there's no struggles around here, but I mean, the fact that he has all of that business tightened up, always taken care of, you don't need anything, the house is paid for, everything's done. That's incredible, especially now. It's not easier now with the way finances are and the way things are in 2018. I mean, he's doing it right, and that's something that, you know, I gotta take notes on and do. That's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
You know, that's friggin' awesome. And you know, so everything he's got, he's worked for, and he deserves, and it's awesome. I'm happy to see him succeeding more as we go on. There's the strength thing. We've been lifting since I'm a kid. We actually just started getting back into it. You know, because you know, I gotta get beach ready. It's winter.
I said you were my partner.
That's right.
You know, remember when you were like 3-4 years old, and you were like,
oh yeah,
pumping iron.
We were always doing it.
He thought he was pumping iron, and he said, "Look, Dad," and I just told him, "Yeah, you know." And then we started. Really
but as we got it older, we started like actually lifting. And the funny thing is, he can still do the same weights as I can. Friggin' guy's an animal over here. That's always something I'd admired. That I admired. In fact, when I was like younger, when I really couldn't lift a lot, when I first started lifting with a friend of mine in middle school, I remember watching this guy bench like 345 and being like, "What the fuck?" I've never benched that.
I did.
Yeah, I
did that.
Uncle Mike
awesome. Could attest to that too, because me and Uncle Mike were partners back then. We used to lift, and he used to be like, "What the?" with the bench presses.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things I admire, you know, like you said earlier, we don't see eye to eye on some things and this and that, but that's just part of being an adult. But one thing I've always been able to admire is, despite maybe a lack of classical education, as it were, you follow your gut and your heart, and it's usually the right call, it's usually the right direction. And he speaks his mind, he speaks his heart. And he, you know, even in terms of over the years when I've asked for advice or I needed certain things, you know, he always leads you in the right direction. And of course, luckily, God's central in our lives. So that's been a huge thing. And that's
where I want to jump in with my last bit of advice back to Rob. Keep your thought. And that is the best piece of advice I'll ever give you, and you know, you've heard out of me, is you can do all things through Christ Jesus, who strengthens you.
That's true.
You can do everything with God. And anything. And the reason why I'm getting choked up, Matt, and I believe he's a good man of God, is I'm not always the greatest example of a man of God these days. But I know
that's
God...
just being human.
Well, but I know God loves me, and God has got my back, and will always love me no matter what. And that's the best advice I'll ever give you, is that God is always with you, always loves you, and His grace is always sufficient. No matter who wants to watch out here and balk at that, I tell you something, the things he's saying about me, it is all because I know and realize there was a point in my life where I went, I can do all things with God. I can. And that is exactly what he's talking about. And I thank my son for saying all that. It's very emotional for me because I have had an uphill battle, and it still is, but I'm still going, and will never, ever stop because I know God has got me. He's always with me. So
yeah. So what I'm saying,
that's the best advice I'll ever give.
It's great advice, and you know, I guess so. Also, what I'm saying along the lines of what I was saying, if that makes sense, is that you know, when it comes to navigating through life, it's not a college education that gets you down those roads, and you know, it's the wisdom that he's got that I don't have yet, that, you know, forms over time, that has been, you know, a great guiding factor in a lot of the things that I'm doing. So that's awesome. Tons to admire, even though we disagree on certain things like politics sometimes, or, you know, other stupid shit, you know.
Well, a lot of
definitely the best role model that I've had.
Thank you. And what I admire, like I was saying about you and even my other kids,
my
me and Rob right here. Yeah, no, is the golden touch he has in the drive, and the smarts. I mean, just blows my mind. I don't liken myself to be a guy that's like he's saying, but you know, smart, you know, intelligent that way. But I got to tell you, I admire intelligent people as long as it's not idiotic, because I got to tell you, I know some incredibly intelligent people, but their head's not right, you know. And
yeah, but also to an extent, intelligence, I think, directly correlates to the application. And for everything you need to do, you know everything you need to know and then some.
Well,
you know, you don't.
It's all about God.
You don't have to know how thermodynamics work.
Well, no, but it's all about God, one, and keeping it simple. You know, 1 + 1 = 2. You know, even like saying, well, how I handle things. Well, guess what? The positive example I got from my father, one of a few, only a few, whether people would see this and not like what I'm saying, it's a fact. The old man had his problems, and today I understand, love him, forgive him, he's gone. But he did these type of things. He handled his business. Like, I watched him do that, you know. The only thing he, you know, for me, really, you know, backed me in, or wanted, it was the music, and here I am still today. That's what I give back, what God has blessed me with. So it's a funny thing how a father, and I appreciate my son saying all this stuff, is an immense, you know, influence on your children. You know, mothers get a lot of attention, and they deserve it. There's nothing like a mom, nothing. And when my mom went, I realized what this is all about. There's nothing like a mom. But when you have a good dad, a really good pop, forget about it. That's, you know, most people, I hate to say, there are a lot of people don't have that. And that is a big lack in this world.
I think especially for a son.
Well,
you know, and now it's seriously something that's under attack, especially in Western civilization. But especially if you're a boy growing up, a strong father figure is what you need to form that character. Oh, and one other small thing which is cool growing up that I've gotten other than plumbing is he's handy as shit. As they've been able to fix just about anything and do just about anything. I learned a lot of awesome kind of trades and crafts and how to do things, which is also something that men don't do anymore, fix things. And
I think Joe learned way more than you did. I don't know if you'll ever admit it.
Oh yeah, you know.
But because he was like
Godfather.
The Irish Godfather was like a fourth child. And man, did I give into his life. I'd love to hear him talk about it someday. We should put him on the third seat. But that's pretty cool. But anyway.
So in terms of advice,
the Irish Godfather.
In terms of advice, you know, most of it is just blowing smoke in his direction because I've been saying it for my whole adult life, which is to live. Because as hard as he works and as much as he doesn't enjoy himself. There's you know, you gotta go away. You gotta unwind a bit. The daily grinds aren't enjoyment. I'm talking about like every now and then, you know, like you bought a new car, cool. But every now and then, think of something you want to do, spend a little.
Yeah, but I'll tell you,
enjoy yourself.
Sometimes as simple as them days with Uncle Steve. Wish the Uncle Steve CDs. I love that guy.
Send it to him.
Yeah, man. I wish you watch it. I gotta tell him to watch it. Just them days where I'll spend with my brother-in-law who lives right on the beach in Long Branch, New Jersey. Here, it's down at the shore. It's beautiful. Just them days spent with my brother-in-law are priceless. Speaking, I really do enjoy that. I'm living my life to the fullest, man. In those moments, I love his place. I love him.
See, that's the thing, though. You're not living it to the fullest. You're living it a little. Well, but the thing is, you don't want to wake up one day and be old as shit and realize I really could have did and saw a lot more. There's so much more out there.
Again, that's where the cheap comes in.
You gotta, but some things don't even take that much money. You know, a longer ride or just a new destination that's in a drivable distance.
I think it's maybe longer ride. Yeah.
Or like, you know, sometimes even things. You know, if you want to. Really nice something musical, guitar, something, you know, splurge a little.
I've got some nice stuff.
Yeah, you do, but you could have nicer stuff and you can do more things. You know, in reason. You're certainly good at the reason thing. You know, I'm sure you won't overdo it.
Well, no.
But you got to live a little bit more, and that would make me personally happy to, you know, see you live more.
Matt, this was awesome. Leave it to Matt. Yeah. This guy, I put up a thing about, by the way, I'm going to say it out here before we wind up, unless you have a lot more to say.
No.
The last episode we did, some people commented, not much, but it seemed to be a lot more views than people comment. And I put up a thing on the last episode about, I was thinking about wrapping up chatting with Pops, me personally, like us stopping this. And the only person who had anything to say was Matt.
Which I actually find absolutely incredible because a lot of people sent me messages after I took shooting the shit off of Should I Smoke This to ask where it went. So clearly a lot of people want to see it.
I'm ready to wrap it up and nobody's saying
I'm going to quit, and everyone's like...
Just Matt. And I say, for your sake, Matt, then, if you folks don't have nothing to say, here I am. I mean, because Matt, you're a wonderful guy. I've had other personal interactions, emails, and I'm so glad that we put into your life and made a difference. And he made that clear at one time. And if only for one person, my brother, what does it say in the Word? If one person, 10,000 angels rejoice. If one. And I'm not saying that.
He doesn't have to get saved. He's already
saved. I already know that. But I'm making that analogy, if one. So you'll be my one to sit down here and entertain you because you're worth it. But, you know, listen, I'm not knocking everyone else out here, but not another word? Nobody else said, well, hey, Pops, you know, no, don't wrap it up. We love you. We like to hear what you have to say. You entertain us. Nothing. So I'm saying it out here.
If you don't want him to quit, leave it in the comments.
What episode was that last?
Last one was 69.
69. Go back, guys, and read the top comment that I put in a comment like you guys did.
Or just throw it in the comments for this episode.
Well,
let them know what's up.
I was saying I was going to quit, so I don't know what you think about that. But here I am, and Matt, you're a great motivation.
Last piece of advice, your new car's got phenomenal headlights. Don't use your high beams anymore.
I pretty much don't. I noticed that.
Pretty much.
Well, both
He's better with it.
Well, way better. But the other car does too. But yeah, anyway.
The Magnum's got great headlights too. You need damn high beams.
I'm way off the high beams. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah,
all right, so this was an awesome episode. More serious, more heart to heart, more about us, what we think and feel. And I'm glad I got to say that stuff. Got more choked up than I thought I would. But
I think what's good though is that none of that's really a secret. I mean, we were pretty open about our relationship, so I think we already know most of that. Right. Anyway.
But thank you, Matt, and I hope we hear from you. I'm sure we will, and I hope I hear from the rest of you fans because this channel here is separate now, and I'd like to see you guys pass this around. I pass it around a lot, and see this channel kind of take off, man.
That's an important note to reiterate.
Appreciate
there
that.
is for whoever's watching this and you think, oh, I'm already subscribed. Good chance you're not, because this is a new channel. This isn't should I smoke this anymore. So make sure that you're subscribed in order to see new episodes, because I don't put this on Patreon anymore, and I don't put this on, well, I don't put it really anywhere. So if you're not subscribed, you're not seeing these episodes.
I have a guest we never had on still, and he moved, right? You know who I'm talking about. And that will be the pinnacle of a laugh riot on the show one day, because I still would love to have him on.
I'm going to have to figure out a way to put the camera outside, because we're going to need a very wide angle for the size of that head.
This guy, holy... Anyway, yes. I promise you, the pinnacle of laughter is coming on this show. It's been a little toned down this year, this season, but the laughter is far from
I don't know. We toned it up for last week pretty good with the Jersey Shore.
That was pretty good, but
I was laughing while editing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of editing, the longer this goes, the longer I have to spend editing it. So we will see you at episode 71. Sign up on Patreon.
Yes, thanks, guys.
And thank you.